So Luna, as we've been talking about, Luna is the new DAW made by Universal Audio that's for free if you already own one of their $500, $1,000, $2,000, or $5,000 interfaces. Except microtransactions and free DAWs. I think that's actually a fair point, Scully. I think that's actually a fair point. Like where, you know, if you're offering a free DAW, some microtransactions I think are okay. I think the question becomes like, how are you pricing that, and how much are you nickel and diming your customers essentially? Now let's see. I want to add an instrument here. Where's their built-in stuff? Where's the piano thing? Wait, why do I not have their instruments? Where is Ravel? But I'm just surprised I don't have their plugins, right? Like, shouldn't you install your plugins? I know if I go to like inserts, like, yeah, I have all of the inserts, though it'll probably tell me, like, if I load this one, for example, it's not gonna tell me which ones I own. So it's gonna say, hey, you haven't bought this one yet. Like, none of this tells me what I have. How does this help me? How am I gonna use this if I don't know which plugins I own? Shouldn't they like disable the ones you don't own? Or is it Luna Instruments? Okay, so let's go to page 25. Where is Luna Instruments? Or where are Luna Instruments? Luna Instruments and Extensions. Hold on. Wait, you have to buy them? You have to buy them? Why the fuck would you list them if you can't even buy or you can't even use the fucking thing? Exclusively for Luna. It sounds amazing, but the fact that it's Luna exclusive is very limiting for the price. We're already off to a weird start. I don't even know if I can hear anything in this DAW, by the way. I actually don't even know if I can hear anything. So I'm gonna put in a sound. I'm gonna put in an instrument I own. We're gonna put in a fucking, we're gonna just use, I guess Spitfire Labs, why not? Is there a way to remap hotkeys? Let's find out. Keyboard shortcuts. Looks like no. Oh, delete selected tracks. Literally no hotkeys, dude. Delete fades, no hotkeys. So you must be able to assign them if they have them as fucking shortcuts, right? You have to be able to assign these, right? Alrighty, I'm just gonna go with it. I'm just gonna try and go with it, and we'll hope that it works. There's a warping thing. Okay, polyphonic, monophonic, Varispeed, Luna Razor Blade. So how do I loop this? How do I change this time? I want to change the time of this clip. Is it up here? Nope, that's a fade. This is a cut. No, I want to warp. So let's set this to monophonic. And how do I warp this? Warping and pitch shifting. Okay. You warp audio in warps view and choosing, so we go, oh, okay. So I go view warps. Okay, there we go. Now I take this and move it in. Okay, we got it. Now, how do I set these? Okay, so let's just make sure, I guess, the whole thing's lined up. Oh, that's not the right marker. That's partially why. It detected the wrong transient. How do I set my own? All right, so now I want to really stretch this. So I'm going to set this to 108. And it doesn't stretch. Okay, that's okay. It's having some issues with this one right here. Can you hear that flam? You can hear the flam right where it hits that third kick. Right there. What about Varispeed? That's not too bad. So Varispeed is basically just repitch mode. Varispeed is repitch mode. What about Razor Blade? Let's compare that with 128 normal pitch. Oh, wait, we gotta retime it. It won't lock in the timing to the beat grid for some reason, which doesn't make sense. All right, compare that with 108 again. Now that we have it in our heads. That's not bad, actually. Now that we're into it, that's not too bad. I think that's pretty fine. Once you find the right warping mode, it seems to be good, but definitely some problems there. Pretty close. Okay, so we've got our first plus. We've got our first plus. There is decent warping. Now, can I loop? I set this back to clips. Is there a looping clip thing? No. How do I loop the clip? Can you do that? All right, looping will not be on if you don't set it. So can I just duplicate this? Okay, so I can. And now I want to cut out everything here. Now I want to loop this selection. So now we got our loop. And now I should be able to go back to clips. Should be able to cut out this last quarter note, and there's another kick there. All right, because it doesn't actually get rid of the clips until you've actually deleted them manually. So I want, can I like draw in MIDI? Oh no, it's like Pro Tools. Oh no, they're doing it like Pro Tools. No, please don't do this. No, is there actually? Can I go to an actual window? There has to be a way to do it. There has to be a way to do it. I refuse. I refuse to believe there is no way to open up a bigger piano roll. This is how I'm going to be able to write my MIDI notes, apparently. Now, how do I change the sizing of the notes though? There we go. Let's view clips. Let's see. Is there a looping option? How do I loop? Is it just nope? I wish there was a way to loop a clip. I just want to loop a thing. Are there many built-in effects? There's a couple. There's a couple, but not a ton. They said it came with instruments. It does not come with the instruments. You have to pay for them, and they each cost at least $300. So if you don't have any third-party plugins, you can't make any virtual instrument music in the DAW without paying money. There isn't any just built-in EQ, right? Is there even just a built-in EQ? There's no built-in effects, from what I can tell. There's no built-in effects at all for this, which kind of sucks. Oh, wait. I don't think I have any reverbs. I don't think I own any reverbs from Universal Audio. So if I want reverb, I have to use a third-party VST. I don't even know if I can use a third-party VST. I think I have to use a third-party audio unit, because I don't think this allows you to use VST plugins. Now, can I set up sidechain compression? Hold on. Wait. How do I sidechain? There's sends. No, there's sends. I can send. Like, I could send this right here to a send. How do I make a return track? How do I create a return track? New tracks, new instrument. New tracks is what we just checked out. You can have an audio, instrument, or bus. This is similar to the way it works in Pro Tools. I'm assuming this is meant to replicate the way it works in Pro Tools. I guess I have to set up a new instrument track, or new audio track. I call this track send. Then I send, say, the drums. No, I want to send it to an actual send. Can I not send it to a send? You can only send to... Okay, so let's make a bus track and see if that works. And then can I send this to return? Yes. Okay, so now I got drums going to return. So how do I make it so that this would not play? I don't want this to play. I want this to just be a send. How am I going to do sidechaining? Hold on. Luna DAW sidechain. Does UA have any sidechain compressor? Oh no. So there is no sidechain support. There is 0 sidechain support. So I want to be able to turn this down a little bit. which is kind of nice. This reminds me of Pro Tools. So what I'm getting from this is they're trying to just remake Pro Tools. Everything about this feels like a shittier version of Pro Tools, which is funny because Pro Tools is already shitty. Yeah, I would say if you have literally any other DAW, that is my biggest piece of advice so far. If you have literally any other DAW, then you should not touch Luna. Again, no looping feature. Wait, can I consolidate? Can I consolidate a loop? Can I bounce in place? And is there no way to loop a clip? I just want to loop an actual clip. Please let me loop a clip. You have to duplicate, I think. Can't loop a clip. Yep, can't loop a clip anywhere. None of the built-in virtual instruments are available outside of the DAW. I cannot load shape inside of Ableton or Logic or GarageBand or Reaper or Reason or literally any other DAW. You can only load shape inside of Luna. They, believe it or not, also we finally figured out what this thing does. This thing lets you switch back to this main menu thing. So we finally figured out why that thing is what it is. Yeah, sure, Omi. But then let's go and look at what other things you can get, because they advertise other instruments, right? They advertise three instruments on the opening of the first look at Luna, the video that you first see. When you go here to the main page, and you watch this video right here.
Welcome to Luna Basic.
The first thing they show you, or one of the first things they show you, once you're in there, is like, oh, look at all the stuff you can do. Look at all these effects you can load. Look at these virtual instruments you have access to.
Finally, Luna instruments add further inspiration to the music making process.
Look at these instruments you can access. Let's go look at these instruments. Who wants to pay $300 for a stock instrument? How much did you have to pay for operator? How much did any of us have to pay for operator? How much did any of us have to pay for wavetable? How much did any of us have to pay for impulse? $300. $300 for a keyboard sampler. $300 for a mini Moog. Now I'm sure these sound good. I'm sure the Moog Mini Moog sounds great. If we demo it, I'm sure it sounds fantastic. Here's the thing. I should not have to pay $600 to use stock instruments. Neve analog summing. Okay, so this is how they get you. So individually, $300, $600, $700, $800, $900. So $900 for the summing console that they advertise, the piano that they advertise, and the synthesizer that they advertise, or $700. So you can save $300 by buying all three. Or you can just not buy any of them and use any other DAW and pay the same amount of money for way more shit. Yeah, a $300 plugin that only works inside of Luna. Was that a utility? Yes, Paw Pads. That was a summing console for $300. You have to this isn't even a microtransaction. This isn't even a microtransaction. This is a macro transaction. It's like, okay, so yesterday I was watching, I'll admit, I was watching Hassan Piker's Twitch stream, Hassanabi on Twitch, and he was talking about how, so Star Citizen is basically changing the game of microtransactions by making them macro transactions. Paying $1,000 for a spaceship in a video game, for example. Luna is the Star Citizen of DAWs. This is the Star Citizen of workstations, where it's not microtransactions, it's macro transactions. It's just transactions. You're just buying full things just to use inside the DAW, not to use outside of it, only for use inside of their host system. Oh, Sila is asking, I'm afraid to ask, but I'll still do it. How do you sidechain? You fucking don't. You cannot sidechain inside this DAW. There are 0 sidechain inputs. There are 0 options for sidechain. There is literally no way to do it without using a volume ducking plugin that you manually control or going in and literally fucking fading the audio with automation. Exactly. It's pretty bad, Wid. I mean, it's not, the thing is, like, there's things about it that I love and there's things about it that I hate. But the problem is, the things that I love require so much work to get to. Guess where the velocity, guess how I adjust velocity for these 3 notes. Do you see how this note starts at the beginning of the project? This note starts at the beginning of the project. This note starts at the beginning of the project. Guess where the actual velocity is? Here. Do you see these little tiny dots right here? Do you see these little tiny dots right there, and right there? If you like full screen or zoom in, yeah, that's how I adjust. That's how I adjust the velocity of the notes at the start of the project. So God forbid you use MIDI when your song begins. Luna is free if you own one of their audio interfaces. Let's look at how much universal audio interfaces are. Let's see what happens. So let's see, you have this one, which is $2,000. You have this one, which is $900. You have this one, which is $1,400. You have this one, which is $3,500. This one, which is $800. This one, oh, here we go, $500. $500 is the cheapest one. This is the cheapest entry point into the Universal Audio product line, $500. This is the one that I own. And yeah, and the stock plugins, if you want to use them, cost money. You want to use their recommended tape recorder for analog tape warmth? $350. You want their summing preamps? $300. You want their piano? $300. You want their synthesizer? $300. So if you don't want to spend $300, $600, $900, you can spend $700. You can save $200 by buying all of these as a bundle. You can save $300, $600, $900, $600. You can save $300 by buying all of these together, and then you can pay for this one. So for their Luna, and remember, you could, like Jane Goza said, you can only use these inside of Luna. You cannot use any of these things inside of another DAW. But to use the rest of their product line that you can use in another DAW, you have to pay for every single one. And let's say I want to add a new effect here. Let's say I want to add in a compressor. I don't own any of these compressors. I don't. You know what I do own? The API 2500 bus compressor. I have to look for it as API 2500. I have to hunt it down just to use it. What's good about this DAW? I will say recording does work with relatively low, if not no latency. I thought that was pretty nice. I haven't experienced much latency when playing things in on the keyboard. So that is actually one thing that I find impressive. The latency is very, very low. The plugins are really good because Universal Audio technically doesn't make them. All of these are made by third-party developers, kind of like how Reason has racks and Pro Tools has RTAS or AAX. It's hard to use stock plugins because you don't really know which ones you have unless you go search or unless you write them down. So it is a hassle, and loading up third-party plugins is a possibility, but it is a pain. I will say you pretty much can only use AU plugins. So if you're on Windows, I'm sorry. This is probably not the DAW for you. DLLs don't do shit. Warping, Warping is weird because if you want to warp something, like let's say I want to warp this clap and like make sure it fits in with the project or something, or like extend this tail or something. If I go into view and warps, if I stretch this out, there's a point where all of a sudden, whoop, goes red. Nope, can't warp that. Not gonna warp it. Also, by the way, it doesn't get rid of clips. See, it just like stacks them. So you can actually, this is kind of interesting. Now that I'm thinking about it, this is actually kind of cool. It was weird at first. I didn't understand it, but you can put clips behind other clips, and it doesn't get rid of them. It just kind of stacks them. So it's actually an interesting way of visualizing layers, which I'm not actually super upset about, because you can pitch the layers, and you can actually adjust the volume of the actual clips. So I'm coming around on that, actually. They actually bragged that they have some of the best warping of any DAW, and part of the way they get away with that is not letting you warp things. Nope, can't do that. Artifactless warping. This is where we think we'll no longer have artifacts. It's a DAW that is designed for people with more money than experience. I'll say that. If I was just now getting into production and I wanted to like splurge, if I was like if I was lucky enough to have that money now, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out how I'm going to render this fucking song, because I have no idea how. I'm going to do this just to be safe. And then I am done. Yeah, I am pretty done with Luna. Let's see. Oh yeah, because you're exporting the mix down. You're not exporting the song. You're exporting the mix down. It's all like focused on like, I think it's not even focused on like beginning producers. It's focused on people who like are getting into mixing. It's like if you're going to school for, that's what it is. They're going after kids who are like going into school for engineering. And it's like, okay, I'm going to take my fucking student loan money and I'm going to buy a MacBook and a fucking Apollo Twin. And then they're going to get into Luna and they're going to be like, oh, this is the same thing that I'm learning in my Pro Tools class. Oh, no. Oh, no. Dude, that's so fucking bad, dude. This is all speculation, of course. This is all speculation. Like, I have no proof of this. I have zero proof of this, but it feels so scummy. There's something about that just feels fucked up, dude. Like, I really hope that's not the case, man, but that feels like, I don't know, man. Fuck, dude. I don't know, man. I'm really uncomfortable now. Like, if that's the case, I really hope not. Honestly, I love Universal Audio products. I'll say this, like, final verdict. Universal Audio is a company that makes amazing hardware, pretty mediocre software, and has a very predatory marketing team. That's kind of what makes me feel like this is being marketed towards kids who are learning Pro Tools maybe in college, and find out that Luna has pretty much all the same hotkeys. It feels like it's gonna be essentially, like, thinking about it now, like, they're making it the more visually appealing Pro Tools. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to take over that market. If I had to speculate, I'm only speculating. I have no evidence of this. I'm going based off just circumstance, based on what it looks like. I have nothing to kind of prove that, so please don't go spreading that, please. I would feel awful if that got around as like a thing. If you're looking to try it out and you already have a Universal Audio interface, give it a shot. If you're looking to buy an interface, Universal Audio stuff is not bad. It's pretty good. There might be other ones you can use. They might be cheaper and equally as good, or cheaper, maybe not as good, but good enough for what you need. Plenty of people make great music on cheaper audio interfaces, honestly. You're probably better off with any other DAW, because the money you put into a Universal Audio interface could go into, like, an Apogee Twin and like an intro copy of FL or Ableton, and it won't be perfect, but it'll get you off the ground. And the Apogee Solo is a really, really good, in my opinion, audio interface for beginners. I think it's a lot better than the Focusrite Solo, even though the Solo is much cheaper. Not by much. It's like $100 or $200. No, it's like $100 cheaper. But it's worth it to save up. It's worth it to save up and get the better audio card just a little bit, because I think the everyone I know has at some point grown out of the Focusrite Scarlett Solo or the 2i2 interfaces. Apogee's interfaces seem to stick with people. Same with, honestly, Universal Audio stuff. Like the Arrow is a very good interface. Like I really, really like the audio interface I use. But costs a lot of money. And if you want something that's about comparable, the Apogee one I think is up there. But I'm going to move on to React content. I hope that's okay with everyone.